This podcast is rated S for sexy and contains mature themes, explicit sexual content, and some freaky ass shit. So if your trigger warning list is longer than the schlongs in these books, protect your innocent ears from the salacious musings of this red hot pod. But if you're a pervy peach like us with one hand on your Kindle and the other between your folds, strap on, in, for the unhinged book club ride of your wet dreams.
This is Between the Folds.
Oh, and there's definitely going to be spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you. As for the rest of you freaky little strumpets, let's get into it.
Welcome to the club. Pull up a seat. Between the folds where the kings all meet. Welcome to the club. Let's slip right through. Between the folds where literature is blue.
Hi, it's Elisa, your commander in literature for the week, and I am here with...
Lusty Lieutenant Lindsay.
Her orders were clear. Pull out early, stay safe, and keep it baby-free.
Yes, please.
And we have...
Janitor of Joyful Orifices, Jess.
Whose research on labia length led her down a dark, very wet channel.
You did not just say channel right now.
I did. And just remember, as we give our overview, we listen and we don't judge.
Except for when we do.
All right, friends. Our book this episode is Pucking Wild by Emily Rath. Book 2 in her Jacksonville Rays series. And if you were hoping for something understated and tasteful, I need you to ask yourself why you're here, because this is not that podcast and we are not those women. But anyway, you may be coming to us fresh off of heated rivalry, as one does in this economy. And I want to be super upfront with you. This is hockey, yes. And there are feelings, yes. But that's where the overlap ends. Where heated rivalry is sexy, hot, intimate story of two hockey players who wreck each other in the best possible way. Pucking Wild is not. Same game, different sport. And a word to our Jacksonville Rays veterans. If you picked up this book expecting the male-male-female or male-male-male-female or even male-male energy like the rest of the series, I need you to recalibrate, because Pucking Wild is a departure. It is one woman, one man, and a whole lot of feelings. Essentially, by Emily Rath's standards, this book is practically a Hallmark movie. A Hallmark movie with pegging, but still, you get my idea. Our FMC is Tess. She's 33, she's an attorney, and she has temporarily moved in with our main male character, Ryan, 22, after her divorce displaced her from her home. Because her ex, Troy, will not sign the papers. Not because he loves her, just because controlling people is apparently his whole personality. And there's this weird morality clause that no one cares about, but is central to the story. Anyway, here's how it shakes out. There's a kiss that starts it all. Then Ryan blows out his knee, gets parked at Mar's place to recover, and Rachel, Mar's wife and Tess's best friend, decides Tess can move in too. Accidental roommates, accidental naked roommates, because Tess does not adjust her habits for anyone, and Ryan's brain has absolutely no idea what to do with that. Then there's Troy, ex-Hubs, who's the human equivalent of a delayed penalty call. Technically explainable, still infuriating, completely avoidable, and we hate him immediately. I should also mention Ryan has dyslexia, which becomes a major conflict point towards the end of the book. And look, I see what Emily Rath was going for. Vulnerability, trust, all of that. But I have some notes, which we will absolutely get into, because there were roughly 1 million ways that it could have happened before it became a plot crisis. And I have opinions. Anyway, meanwhile, Tess's best friend Rachel is thriving in a polycule with 3 husbands, Mars, Jake, and Caleb, and functioning as the unhinged Greek chorus this story absolutely deserves. So here's what you're getting. Reverse age gap, dom sub energy, accidental roommates, toy play, plus-size goddess representation, blackmail, divorce drama, and a best friend living her absolute best plural life. Anyway, buckle up our freaky little strumpets. This book may not be unhinged, but we absolutely are. Let's get into it.
I felt conflicted about this book. I didn't really go into it expecting to like it that much. I had read the previous book, Pucking Around.
Red?
But only the sexy parts.
We need to come up with a term for that. So if there's a term for Jess when she reads just sexy bits. Listeners, if you have any ideas, send them to us on our Instagram. Okay, thank you.
I used the Kindle search function. I looked up words that I wanted to read and then only read those scenes.
Excerpts.
The
sexerts.
The sexerts. That is hard to say.
And I've already been told by these two that the fact that I read multiple scenes multiple times doesn't count as actually reading the full book. I disagree, but whatevs. So I wasn't really excited about reading this one, and I was a little pleasantly surprised.
I had the opposite experience because I did read the first book, Pucking Around.
Same.
And I quite liked it. And Pucking Around was great. And so I had high hopes for Pucking Wild, and I was pucking bored myself personally. It takes 40% of the book to get the first sex scene. That's
does.
almost half of the book, which is not short.
No, it's 400 and some odd pages.
Yeah. To get my first sex scene, I was like, okay, this is too long.
I agree with you, Lindsay, wholeheartedly. It was so long, and the slow burn was a little slow.
It was too slow.
I was excited for this book. I had read the first Pucking Around, and then I had skipped ahead and I had read the third book, and I was like, ooh, this is really good. And then it was like, oh, well, now we're not male, 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 female, or male, male, female. We're now male, female. And I don't know why that was disappointing, because I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And it felt like a little bit there was times where they're trying to do this like I shouldn't for her, because she's 33 years old and he's 22. And I understood that she was still technically married, but like they pretty much explained that she'd been trying to get out of her marriage for like at least 3 years, and that her ex-husband was just not signing papers. At that point, you don't have a relationship. Like, you're married by the state. You're not married by anything else.
Their marriage ended with him having an affair with his secretary or whatever. Very classic.
Well, multiple people, but she caught him with the secretary.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were already having other relationships while they were still like married on
She was
paper.
only seeing women.
Yeah.
And that made it okay for him. The second
Yeah.
she started seeing a guy, or he thought she started seeing a guy, is when he had a problem with it. Even though I feel conflicted about this book, when I sat with like, why am I getting so triggered about some of these things? I realized, oh, this reminds me so much of going through my divorce almost like 15 years ago or so. And so it really helped me sit down and reflect those things and almost even see I behaved in some of those ways post that, because you don't want to trust anybody. You don't want to listen to anything. It was annoying me. And then I realized it was annoying me that much because she actually captured that push and pull so perfectly. And I think that's a mark. Whenever a book like makes you really feel something like that, it's real worth exploring, because, to my shock, it kind of helped me have some personal breakthroughs this week in this area.
That's good. I did not. Maybe I need to do some work in this area, because I didn't know I had issues. You know what? I'm going to take this back, because I think that later in the book, at some point, train left the station. This is perimenopause in action, by the way.
It was a literal train at the window. Did you see me? I was like, where?
We have no trains here.
Did we get a train?
Did we suddenly get a train? The thing that was incongruent is that she would do the flip side, which is like, I'm this strong, badass bitch and I can do everything. And I'm not. To me, the humanness would be like, I'm a badass bitch in my career, and in this area, I'm struggling. But they were put on the same playing field. And I think that's where I kept going, what the fuck? Inconsistent message.
I felt the same way. I think that this was my frustration with this book, because I could absolutely see Tess and how she is reacting to like the trauma of her marriage and the difficulty there. And I can see how Ryan became more mature emotionally for his age because of his life experience. So I can see how they were holding those things up. But what I felt like this book did a lot of telling instead of showing, and what it would tell was not what it was showing. So she would say, I'm XYZ, we're this, this, and this, but I didn't see that shown in the actions and behaviors of the character in the story. So it was incongruous in the words that were being said, and then the story that was being told, I felt didn't match up. So that was what frustrated me the most. And I don't know if that's kind of what you were saying.
That's
but
exactly.
She would be like, I'm wild and free and this, that, and the other. But it was like, well, you haven't shown me any of those things about you. You're just telling me that's who you are without the story showing me that part of your character.
That's so interesting. I didn't find that at all. She left her job to take a chance on doing something different.
No, she didn't.
She
She
had to do
reframed
that, right?
it for herself. She didn't leave of her own volition. She was pushed out and she had to do something. She had been choked by her ex and threatened pretty strongly. So she knew she needed to leave. So she shows up with Rachel because that's a safe space. But Rachel's in the middle of this blissful honeymoon period with her 3 husbands.
I think we all need a stepping stone, though. And hers was losing what she had in wherever she was living. I don't remember.
Ohio. Yeah.
But the choice wasn't made out of, I'm a wild and free, strong woman. It was made in a place of like fear. And so, which is okay and makes sense. And I would be the same if I were in her position. But don't tell me you did it because you were wild and free.
Well,
and going
she's
on
not
a
telling you.
journey.
I'm saying.
No, but the book
Coupled
was
with,
saying that. The book kept reinforcing that. But I was like, no, you're in a hard place and these people are helping and supporting you and that's okay.
I don't think either one of you have gone through a divorce, have you?
No.
Like, as somebody who went through that complete identity shift, like and where you are sitting there and you're trying to remember these parts of you and you're seeing yourself in one way and maybe your actions aren't lining up because you are in such turmoil that you are trying to figure out like who the fuck I am. And there's parts of you that are like faking it because you so desperately want to be strong, want to be seen as strong. You want to like get through this, that it does like look like incongruence. Like around
Or like
that.
you're faking it till you make it.
Yeah. I mean, you are when you're in survival mode, which you are when you are coming out, when you are in the midst of a divorce and you're coming out of a traumatic situation, nothing makes sense anymore. And
Well, and you have the polar opposites of I'm a badass bitch
yes,
and I'm struggle bussing.
I could totally relate. You know, the person I am now doesn't love to say that because, you know, as with a lot of people, we still have issues like saying when we're struggling and asking for help or things like that. As much as I didn't like it because I could see so much of myself at 20 years ago or going through the same things, like I was just like, fuck, she did too good of a job fucking pulling my heartstrings here.
I guess I can see that because I mean I can relate to that in a different scenario, right? I haven't been through divorce, but like the identity loss. So like we've talked about in the last episode, I had tried to have kids for like 9-10 years. And then you finally hit that spot where you're like, well, this is not going to happen for me. And then, well, who the fuck are you if you don't have that piece? So I went through like, I call it the dark night of the soul, right? For like probably 3 years. And like, that's when I was like, I gotta go back to therapy. But then I was like, I have no idea who I am. So I can identify with those pieces where you're just like smiling on the surface and everything else is dark on the inside and you're trying to figure out how you get out and get back to the brightness, but you can't even fathom it. And so I can identify with those pieces, but there was something in this book where they didn't connect for me because I can identify with that piece, but I couldn't in this book. And I don't know why. And maybe it's because it's divorce specific. And maybe I had a hard time with it because I have experienced a dark night of the soul. And then maybe I was like, well, what the fuck? Just be stronger.
Yes, that's
possible.
That's definitely, Elisa, because I realized that's how I was reacting. I get so annoyed with the push and pull. I even wrote down one space where they were having some kind of conversation and she ran away. And then the very next line in the next chapter was like, oh, I wish he was like running after me. And that's so fucking annoying. Ask for what you want.
Yes.
Like, don't play this little game of will you, won't you? But then that's when I had to sit down and be like, if I put myself in the space of coming out of my divorce and I was 26, something around there, in the same age-ish. I think that also the funny thing too is I went through we don't call it a cougar. Apparently you're not a cougar until you're like over 50. I was a puma because I went through this stretch of dating. And I was 28 when I started dating again, like significantly younger guys, like really, really young. Yeah. I did think even that part was funny too. This, the age thing.
Okay, so now this actually came up for me like several times. Right where we are right now, at your ages, at your life experience, would you date a 22-year-old if you were free and available?
No.
Same.
I would fuck a 22-year-old.
I'm going to give this a caveat because I haven't met a 22-year-old recently that I thought would be dateable. I thought in this book, they gave him the age of 22, but they did not write him as a 22-year-old.
No, he was like 26, 28. That's what I kept
Yes.
picturing in my mind as well.
Yeah, they wrote him much older, which was kind of a complaint I have. Is to me, I'm like, if you want to really lean into a reverse age gap, I want to feel the age gap, whereas I feel like they tried to kind of make them meet in the middle as far as their ages go, as I want to feel that he's 22.
I think that's unrealistic for a woman, though. The reason why this is a quote-unquote big deal is because men aren't thinking, when they're dating younger women, they don't care about anything but what this person looks like. Most of the time, I'm sure there's caveats out there. Don't get your panties into a twist. But a woman, even your just average and not that self-aware woman, is not going to go for a 22-year-old
for a
who
relationship.
Is a true 22-year-old not thinking about anything but themselves and all of that. And that wasn't this guy, and that made it more realistic for me.
The other thing that I liked, because I felt like this reminded me of real life a little bit, was the reminders of who you are. Her and Rachel's relationship. Like at one point, Rachel says, "Hey," she says, placing a hand on my shoulder, "I love you." "I know," I replied with a watery smile. "What's not to love?" Exactly. That's what I've been saying for 3 years. You are a goddess and you deserve to be worshipped and adored. Altars, burning incense, and maybe some ritual orgies. I loved that. And I think it was great to have another human who reminds you of that. I know it didn't land in that particular moment, and I think that's okay. But it's important to have those people around you who sometimes, when you can't see yourself anymore, can still see all of the good shit, and to remind you of that.
Totally. We all need that. And that's not the same thing as like needing external validation. Sometimes we need that reassurance from humans that we're loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want
I don't
someone
think sometimes. I feel like all the time.
Yes,
Like
totally.
you need those people around you.
And we need the people around us who like hold us up when we falter, when our belief like isn't there, who believe in us and are able to hold that belief until we can match it.
Or when you give up. There's always a moment where you feel like, I just fucking don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, no, you're capable.
Yeah.
Or not only that, you would hate yourself if you didn't try one more time.
Yep.
Just one more. That's all you got. And then you can crumble.
Yeah. I had that when I was going through my divorce. Like I had these 4 women best friends who like literally just helped pick me up and get me through that. I would have not gotten through that time in my life without them.
Yeah. Did you guys have a favorite sex scene?
I might have liked the butt plug scene the most. Broadly, I was pleasantly surprised that I liked the sex as much, given that it was like pretty standard for what we read. Standard meaning it was like male, female. And
I had favorite moments in the sex scenes, but I felt like they kept taking me out of the scene in a lot of the scenes, that I couldn't stay with a whole scene and really get into it. So there's a few lines that I thought were really hot that I really liked. But on the whole, something would come up, just didn't do it for me. One of the moments, I was not into her calling him puppy. I don't know.
Me either.
I didn't like it. And then he called her ma'am. I don't care for ma'am either. But I will say, the scenes where Ryan was the dominant one, which again, I thought was contrary to what the vibe that they were trying to do, is like she's teaching him. But the ones where he was the dominant one, I thought were pretty hot. Like he says, "Woman, let me work," he shouts. "I will take you to the couch and finish you there. And if you're very good, we may just end in the bed. But I'm tasting you right here, right now, before I quite literally die of thirst. Now spread your legs and hold on to something." I was like, okay. Ryan.
Okay.
I was
Yes, sir.
there for that. I was equally there for the scenes where she was in charge. I loved actually the pegging scene too. I think that's the first like in detail scene I've ever read like that. And I was like literally like, "Oh, Eric, you better get stretched out, baby. We might be experimenting with something."
Okay, this is a perfect time for half-assed research, because I literally was like, what is a strapless strap-on? And so then I searched it and I was like, oh, interessante. I kind of like that concept pretty. I don't know how it stays in, but whatever.
Your muscles.
You clinch.
You
gotta hold
get
it?
your kegels. It's her
Sucking them in.
clinching.
I do think you would have to clinch pretty hard to get like an in and out thrusting situation. I think I have a strong pelvic floor, but I was also thinking it would be hard to really grasp that and thrust in and out.
Well, the ones I saw were curved. So like I feel like that helps a lot.
So the other new term I learned was spit roasting, because there's that scene where they walk in on some of the other guys with, is it Poppy, I think?
Yes.
The
Poppy and Novak.
social media manager. And they said they catch them spit roasting her. And I was like, oh, spit roasting? That doesn't sound like an attractive position to be in. It's like trussed up like a pig, but that's essentially what it's about.
Being basted with jizz. I don't know.
It's just being like plugged from both ends, right?
Yeah, both ends. Like a hog over the fire.
Like a good neighbor. Spit roasting is there.
I didn't know what an Eiffel Tower was. I had to look that up.
I looked it up from the WebMD perspective. Because, there's a lot of places.
Is it ass cancer?
No.
It must be.
No, it's just like the most boring clinical way. By definition, the Eiffel Tower can only be accomplished with 3 or more people. This means you will have to have a conversation with your partner prior to doing the sex
All right,
position.
WebMD, get to the good stuff.
Once all the parties have confirmed they are willing and able to participate, you can begin with planning how to set up the Eiffel Tower.
Why do you have to have 3
It's
or
like
more for
spit
that?
roasting with a high five.
It is the 2 extra people high five
Yes.
at the top, which I thought was very adorable.
So Eiffel Towering, is that when someone's on the bottom, like we're layered like a sandwich?
One person's on all fours,
It's a spit roasting plus the high five.
oral sexing one person,
Then why do you need more than 3 people?
penetrating from behind.
Okay.
So you have your
Yep.
And
Your
then
bell end.
you're sucking, the other person's dipping, and then those 2 high fiving.
Could be a
Oh,
fourth.
got it. There we go.
But
okay.
I think what makes it the Eiffel Tower is you have to have the gripping above.
Who fucking cares about a high five? Maybe it's for leverage. High five!
Yes. Encouragement.
Okay, I have a question. So there was one sex scene when she cry orgasmed. Have you ever cry orgasm? I have several times.
Many times, honestly.
Yes, right? Can you describe what that's like? Because Ryan's always, it's okay. And I'm like, I know. Like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. It just comes out of nowhere.
I just think of it as like sometimes when you orgasm, there's all these hormones that are like flooding your body and your system. And to me, it's just usually like this like release of feeling that sometimes comes out in crying. But I'm not sad.
Right? You're not sad.
I'm
at
not
all.
sad. I'm just like that's how it feels.
I've had a cry orgasm where it's like the kind where you're like, but you're not sad and you can't control it. That has happened to me several times. And Ryan's always like, it's okay. And I'm like, he's like, just let it out. And I'm like, I don't have a choice.
It's coming. It's coming.
Coming out.
Liquids everywhere.
At first, it like worried Andrew, I think, because like
It's disconcerting.
yeah, if you like all of a sudden you're having a good time and then someone's crying. I'm not upset. You didn't hurt me. Like, it's just I don't know what my body's doing.
Yeah.
It's feeling all its feelings all at once.
Pouring out of my eyeballs and my cooch.
Exactly. All the fluids, baby.
Can we move on to most cringy scenes?
Oh, I have so many, but we'll just pick a few highlights. This one I call the TJ Maxx sign because life is short, Ryan. Life is beautiful and short, and you only get one. Live it on purpose. I was like, okay.
Stupid.
I can't with that.
And be like, get the fuck out. Get out.
Life is beautiful and short, and you only get to live it on purpose. And I was just like, okay, all right.
I mean, people can say prophetic things that are really deep and meaningful, and I will not do that. But that shit,
They did a lot of, I need you, I can't live without you. It's very like, blah, la, 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 la. And I was just, what does it even mean?
When Eric and I got married, it was 10 years after my divorce, and I was 36, and my whole thing was around, I love you and I choose you. I choose to go into this with you, and I choose to do whatever I need to do to make sure we stay in love. I think that's choices of value of mine.
well, the fact that you have a choice. I mean, we're at the tail end of people who didn't have choices whether they were going to stay married or not. And for you to make a conscious choice, okay, there can be problems. We're choosing to work on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I want to punch you in the face really fucking hard right now.
I think one of the things, like, when I went into my first marriage, I grew up a Catholic, and I went into that marriage, and even though I didn't consider myself a practicing Catholic at that time, I was too scared of saying that out loud lest I be smited or something. Smited. So, I went into my first marriage just being like, I'm never getting a divorce, right? This is just off the table. It's not up for consideration until it was, right? But Eric and I went at this being like, of course, divorce is an option. It's not one we ever want to choose. But I think because we know it's an option and we can choose that, it's like that thing you need to keep choosing each other and keep staying together and not taking each other for granted.
It's also sort of like childlike mind that kind of says everything will be perfect and everything will be good and we're going to love each other and the sex is going to be great for so long that you have all of these romanticized notions of what marriage and life is even going to be like. And then as you get older, it kind of unveils itself that like perfection is a myth and it doesn't exist, and that there's actually no shame in having an imperfect relationship. There's no shame in having an imperfect human. Like all of that is part of the process.
I think that is perfection because we get to define what it means for us, right? I think Eric and I have a convoluted love story. And I remember one of my friends once telling me, and she was single and she was really looking for a relationship. And she was just like, I love hearing this story. It gives me hope because it's not this perfect story. And I was just like, well, it's perfect for us. And she was like, oh. And that really like kind of helped her
To expand.
realize, oh, I can start looking at this differently for myself. Maybe perfect doesn't have to mean this thing that society tells us it has to be, which I would argue isn't perfect. It's just tradition.
Yes. Well, it's what's being pumped at you all the time.
So here's another thing. When you're going through a divorce, that decision you make that I'm never going to get married again is something I think we all go through. And then for me, I realized a couple of years later, when I'm saying I never want to get married again, what I actually mean is I don't ever want to get commitment again because I don't want to be hurt. And then so once I separated those two things out, okay, what does actually marriage mean versus what does commitment mean? When Eric and I got together and then we made the decision like we wanted to, continue, stay together forever, I was fine with not getting married like then, even though I'd kind of come around it and I was like, okay, marriage isn't the evil. It's like what people think of it and how they choose to whatever.
How they show up or
exactly.
not.
And so I was fine with us not, but we were both in the military at the time and then I was getting out. So you have to be married in order to be able to move with people, to be on orders when you're getting stationed in different places it impacts your pay. It impacts so many things. So it made sense for us. And then also it was important to Eric because he's never been married before. And ultimately I'm very happy sifting through those reasons instead of living in that gut reaction of I'm never going to do a thing again because this thing happened to me. So I liked the conversation just because, again, I thought that is realistic post-divorce, but then cringe factor of everything
The
else. I was
excess
just like, all right.
of it is dramatized.
They dramatized everything. Troy can bring on the rain. He can drown me for all I care. I'm a good swimmer. And with Ryan holding my hand, I've already found a safer shore. I'm like, okay.
and
I cannot with this.
And I don't know. And again, we're going to go back to the real world conversation. Her finding strength in Ryan bothers me when she didn't have it by herself. There's something about that. And again, this happens for a lot of people. And so I totally understand that this is a normal thing, but it shouldn't have had anything to do with Ryan. What would have felt cathartic to me by the time she got to the beach is she had already devised the fuck you. And she had already devised it's okay to blow my life up. Like I'm ready to let it go. And he's freaking out about the contract. And she's like, wait a minute, don't worry. I've already done all of this work for myself and it won't affect you, or it might affect you, but we'll be okay. I would have accepted that a lot more because the character arc of her would have been she had grown and she had finally come back to her powerful self.
I agree. And I can understand the relatability and also of needing to like have someone be that support for you. I think it comes down to that, like when we're reading fiction and like the paths that we want to see carved out for women. Like I want to see her being this, like, I'm not making these decisions based on you. I'm making this decision for myself, regardless of what Troy and Ryan, like I'm choosing this for me. I'm claiming my own power. I wanted to see her do that.
And I think it was a misstep because Tess has always been, even in the first book and even in the second book, Tess has kind of been like a little powerhouse spitfire of a human and like no bullshit kind of air about her. Again, she can be lost and that's totally fine, but her needing the man to anchor her drove me nuts because again, I wanted her to find herself again. I wanted her to like connect with that piece, which is, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm capable. Like I want her to find that again.
Yeah. And the only way she found that was through.
Yeah, I did. I remember that was in my notes. I was like, I wish she had done things for her. I mean, there was a line at the very end where she kind of says it, okay, no, this is for me, like without anybody else. Again, it's something I could relate to when I think back to going through my stuff, but I didn't ever have that guy. It was me that did it in the end. It took me truly a good 10 years to recover from all that, even though I'd had several significant relationships in that 10-year time. But had I not had so many walls up and been maybe more open to somebody being part of my savior story, maybe it would have happened faster because I was in this very much, I have to do it for me. It has to be all on my own. Sometimes this is something that can get in my way to this day, right? Because it's that thought and the layers in that show up as people not asking for help or feeling like they have to do everything or that strength looks a certain type of way, no matter how many times we believe or try, or how much of us does believe. No, I know the three of us believe that strength doesn't look like not crying all the time and not letting anybody in and not vulnerability. And also, I know it's something that I still work on every day. And I think you both do as well. So
I 100% do every fucking day.
So it's just something I think about a little more. We go to this place of it has to be done all on my own. And maybe it's just okay that sometimes it's a guy or a friend or an experience that like launches us to something. It doesn't mean that we aren't doing it on our own or for ourselves. Like it gets to be both. Welcome to my TED Talk.
And I guess to me, I'm thinking the journey of real life and the journey of my fictional characters are going to be
totally,
like the fictional world is going to be quite condensed down compared to like our real life journeys. And
it's going to be easier too. It's going to be much more of a straight line than it is in real life.
Yeah. And I think part of it is, the way women have been portrayed in media, in stories, and all of these things is something that I like about these books and books written by female authors is rewriting some of those narratives where women have strength and power and this arc of growth that isn't dependent on men. I think part of like seeing that story, and it's not because men can't be a part of our story and a part of our growth. I think it's just more of wanting to set aside, like we're telling a new story that we can look into ourselves and start to see and have that change the cultural shape. So I think it's when I see some of these narratives being told again, I'm like, oh, but girls, we're not always being saved by men, remember?
Yeah.
Maybe we're saving each other. Like we're having a community come around us, not this man saved me from drowning.
I guess I didn't see her as being saved by him. She was saved by herself, by him, by her friends, by even that woman, Shelby, who was the psychologist. She was another one of the hockey wives. And that was a big part of that kind of ending scene when she was just with the women and they did the speaking into the seashell and tossing into the water.
I did really like that, by the way. I liked that concept that it's a small shell, but it can hold a lot.
Yeah.
I thought that was really lovely. And I think to go back to what Lindsay had said, it was talk instead of action. And I think that is the thing. She was telling us she was doing it for herself, but we didn't see any of the action that backed that up. We didn't see the struggle of that. And I think that's a misgiving to see the struggle, because the struggle is where all of the shit happens. Like it's where all of the decisions are made.
Okay, I think I'm finally understanding what you mean by the struggle, because it was like from scene to scene. She would either be like powerfully deciding to do one thing, or she'd be powerfully deciding to run.
Correct.
But there was very little of that narrative, like when you switch from, like you start talking to yourself, okay,
Correct.
I want to do this, but this might not make sense. Like what if, okay,
or even the panic.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the panic thought process.
You're right. That's right. Because it was very, yes. Now all of these things are clicking together with exactly what you mean. It was always told in the dialogue. You never heard it in her head or read it in her head. Okay. That is making so much more sense to me now.
You didn't see her in the shower, like wanting to lean into Ryan she's like herself showering and she wants to lean into the new relationship with Ryan, but she's got all of this baggage she's carrying behind her and she's panicking, and you didn't see any of that internal struggle. And so then it's just flip-flop. It's just, what are you? I don't know. Like for me, I'm an ideator. So like if you get me in a group of people and we're coming up with something new, like I fucking love to just throw shit on the table and then everybody picks it up and like is like, wait, what is this? What is it? It's like my favorite environment to work in. And I do that with problems too. Talking out loud, I can hear what's happening and I can process better. And there's always that part of me that's like, don't say it, because as soon as you say it, it becomes real. And then if it becomes real, you're going to have shame about it. And I don't want to have shame about it, so we're not going to talk about it. And that will literally happen inside my head. And then I'm like, well, fuck it. I already have the shame about it, so I might as well just fucking say it. And so that is what happens inside my head every time I hit one of those walls. And in this book, there was none of that. And so therefore, is she strong? Is she weak? Or do people perceive her as strong because she's avoiding connection, and she's avoided connection her whole fucking life? And that's okay too. That's an okay arc, right? I'm okay with that. It's got to change though.
Yeah.
And she has to have a realization at some point.
I would have liked him to see the part of Tess that's struggling with this, and that's truly being seen. Right. I think that what makes somebody wild, what makes somebody strong, is all of the nuance and all the things in between, and showing up a little differently every day depending on where we're at.
Well, that's a great opportunity for us to go to Would You Rather, Ryan or Jake?
Jake.
I don't have a strong preference for either one of them, actually. I liked both of them.
I loved Jake in this book. I thought he was very charming,
Yeah.
even though he was portrayed as not being very smart.
Oh, I love that.
I loved his whole joke about not a metaphor, but he kept calling
A metaphor.
he kept calling his partner's partner his metaphor. And I just thought it was so charming and funny. I thought he and like the Rachel and her little polyamorous clan, I thought were the best part of this book. I loved it.
Yep,
Yeah.
same. Pegging or getting pegged?
Really like to peg someone. I would have.
It's like anybody.
Hey, you.
I mean, I want to peg Andrew, but he doesn't want to be pegged. So
Same.
obviously I don't want to do that to him.
Yep.
But I want to do it.
I might be in your camp too.
So I want to
Yeah,
do it to
color me
somebody who
intrigued.
wants me to do it to them.
I liked that scene.
Bathroom sex or beach sex?
I have a real caveat about sand. I do really
Yeah,
want
I was
sand
gonna
getting
say
up in my
probably.
business.
Yeah.
So if we can make that happen without me getting really like sand abraded, then
Have you
yes.
ever had ocean sex?
I was gonna say, are we in the ocean? I could get.
No, it's
I
terrible.
could do that. Oh, really? I've had
Yeah.
pool sex, and that was not fun either. But it's not that it wasn't fun, but it's like everything's gonna wash away, and then the water is coming out of you for a while
we
after,
were
like Eric's nose.
But there's also salt in the water and there's sand in the water, right?
Yeah.
So it's constantly swirling in there. And don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
I'm gonna go for some heavy petting. I'm gonna go for some fooling
Yeah.
around, but I don't know about how much penetration I want at the beach.
Yeah, no, I think it's
I would do bathroom sex.
Yeah.
I would do bathroom sex at the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, thank you. Bye. Would you rather be a sports star or a nonprofit queen like Rule on the Roost?
I mean, the capitalist part of me that wants to be like resourced and have a lot of money is like fucking sports person making millions, of course. But like the social worker, like political activist warrior in me is like nonprofit queen, of course. But that's probably not true if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I feel like my life is too close to being a nonprofit queen
Yeah.
to really get into a fantasy about that.
I was like, I've worked in nonprofits my entire fucking career.
I want to be the sports star making the big banks that then can fund
Yes,
the
the
nonprofits.
nonprofits. I
I'm
like that.
against
I'll take that.
organized sports, and so I don't want to be either.
Shower kink or kitchen kink?
Both?
Kitchen.
You're both to everything, but if you had to choose,
Why are you making me choose?
Because
I
that's the
like
whole
a
point of
why
this.
choose narrative.
I'm a kitchen.
Yeah, I think I'm a kitchen too.
Surfaces are taller.
I'm gonna be shower. I like the shower. It's slippery and it's naked by its
Yeah,
very
but then I
nature.
think it's like
And it's uncomfortable. You're like in weird angles and the water.
this is something that happened by myself, but for whatever reason, it had nothing to do with sex. But
The
for whatever
detachable
reason,
shower head.
I came home from a party and I was pretty tipsy and I slipped and fell in the shower and tried to grab the shower curtain. It just came down with me. I was fine. It just got a little bruised up. Could you imagine if that happened to you? Also, I know somebody that shattered her. Like, do we technically have a taint? Like her taint area by having
Pelvic.
sex. And then I don't know, she tripped and then fell and smashed her, like just came down, like smashed her slit
Oh my God.
on like the edge of the bathtub. And that
I'll choose the kitchen every time.
seared into my brain.
Well, I'm just gonna be safe in the shower.
Yeah.
I'm gonna practice safe shower sex. I'm
gonna
gonna
put on
get
my shower
myself a
shoes.
handlebar.
A handlebar.
I actually did used to have a handlebar that I bought because you can. It was a sex handlebar. It wasn't like a grab bar for the elderly.
You didn't just have a
elderly.
bike in your room. There's a sex bike. Hold
The
on to handlebars.
1980s banana schwim. Okay. Beg or dominate, and you have to choose one, Lindsay.
Wait, is this? Am I being the beggar or the dominant?
You.
Yeah, I'm going with begging. Even though I so admired her in the book when she was in that, like at this time in my life, 46. Now I'm fucking tired. Order me around a bit. Let me know that you got shit handled and you have me handled instead of it me being all the time. Fuck yeah.
Also, the lead up, I mean, I'm in the same boat. The beg to give gap is real good. All right, two more. Single player or polyamory?
Get me in on that gangbang, people. Get me in on it.
Well, are we talking about like, I love reading about it, but in real life, no, I'm a single. I don't have the attention span. Unless it's just like somebody serving me. Fantastic.
That's what I was just going to say.
I mean, if it's
Only-
like the other girl's situation, Rachel and her, yeah, okay. I will definitely take that.
If I just had to show up and you're like, you do whatever you want, I'm there, I'm fine. But if I have to do all of that for multiple,
Yeah. No,
I'm really good at multitasking.
I'm not actually. I'm not. I am single focused. I could do one thing real well. at a time.
Okay, last one. Reading, slow burn, or hot and heavy?
I like to read a slow burn.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think it gets me super
Build it
engaged.
up. Mm-hmm.
Now, real life,
Hot and heavy.
same.
I like a slow burn. You're gonna tease me all day. You're gonna get
Although that's
me
kind of
into
lovely.
it.
I can be with
Like,
that. I can hang with that too.
Yeah,
Maybe it's because I don't have a lot of time. I'm always like, let's go.
I know. That's why I want to have the time for a slow burn.
It's luxurious.
Mhm,
Yes.
it's luxury. Ugh.
Luxuriate
Mm.
in a slow burn.
Yeah.
I think I might not know myself because I think that's true too. Because I may have said that to Ryan the other day. I was like, hey, we might want to, yeah.
I mean, I got
you
some
hold my
ideas
leg
from this
for a while?
book,
Yeah.
actually. I told Eric we might buy it. I've got some things tabbed that I really want to read and attempt. So
Let's try.
no one was more shocked by that than me. Hockey, who fucking knew.
Let's talk about some moans and groans.
I had a few reviews that I thought were charming myself from our friends at Goodreads. Juliana, she gave it 3 stars. In parentheses, the first one was better. And I agree with you, Juliana. I do think Bucking Around was better and I really enjoyed it and had a great time. Also, Bert, 2 stars. Sigh. This book is so long and for what? A hetero-monogamous relationship? Boring. Yes, Bert. Agreed.
Let's talk about our moisture meter here for the book. Spice level.
I mean, spice level, I would go with a.
What about 3.5?
Yeah, I think 3.5, especially given what we usually read.
Read.
And
Especially
the
off the
first
heels of
50
Holiday for 6.
Yeah,
right?
and the first 50% of the book, there was like almost zero
Yeah.
spice at all.
Other
So,
than
like,
the kiss.
Yeah, other
Yep.
than the kiss, which I actually, the naked test concept I thought was quite
I did
fun
too.
and cute.
Yeah.
Yep.
As a
Yep.
nudist. Thought that was very charming.
I would say 3.5 too, because I mean, the sex scenes were pretty good, but you just had to wait so fucking long for him. I think it takes it a little bit away from being a 5
This is why
spice
you
book.
guys need to get on with my speed reading. Well, there's
Sexperts, that's what you came up to.
I'll be pondering that. Sex serps is good, but it's a little bit hard to say.
It
Yeah.
is to say well
Getting into
anyway.
the sex serps.
Yeah.
Moisture meter.
I would say 4.
I would
Wait,
say-
scale of 1 to 5?
yeah, 1 to 5.
Yep.
I did 2.
I would go 2 for me. 1
Some-
and a half perhaps. I
maybe.
didn't find myself very moist because, like I said, I would get into it and then she would call him a puppy and I kind of like meh. Or
Yeah.
like he would say ma'am and I'd be like ugh.
I do this thing with my eyes where maybe they just fuzz over and push that stuff away. So I was like, nah, bring it on. I don't care about the puppy. Bring on the butt plugs.
Butt plug updates to come.
Yeah. I even put that in my list of what we liked. And I went down and then I said, butt plugs, apparently. Who knew?
All right. What is on our nightstand for next week?
We're going back to our roots with our first book we have ever read for our Unhinged book club with Alien Quarantine Rescue by Robin Lovett.
That was PE. Pre-Elisa.
Yeah, it was the sad, dark times.
It was.
Dark days.
Before the baby jubas.
Everything was real dry back then without the lube.
I have
moisture.
brought you lube. Well, we hope you love this smutty adventure as much as we did. If we made you laugh, blush, or question your search history, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave us a glowing 5-star review. It helps more freaky little strumpets find their way to us. Got an unhinged read we need to tackle next? Slide into our DMs on Instagram at Between the Folds Podcast and share your filthiest favorites. For more information, past episodes, and all the juicy details, visit us at www.betweenthefoldspodcast.com. Until next time, we'll see you between the folds.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to the club. Pull up a seat between the folds where the kings all meet. Welcome to the club. Let's slip right through between the folds where literature is new.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are our own and do not reflect those of the authors, publishers, or any affiliated parties. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any of the authors, publishers, or products mentioned. Yet. Listener discretion is advised due to adult themes, language, and content.